Hello everyone, welcome to Kitaabi Cabins. मेरा नाम चारू है and today we are doing something that has become quite a tradition on this channel. We'll be going through my top picks from last year and every year that I sit down to do this, it is just a reminder that I will never be able to read as many books as I did during my COVID era. But I have made peace with it, mostly because I read very differently now. I am a slow reader. I'm very intentional with what I'm reading. I'm also less tolerant of nonsense. So this is not a video where I'll be flexing numbers because there are no numbers to flex in here, and I hope you had a great reading year and are also not punishing yourself for attaining a certain number of books to read by the end of the year. Coming back to my top 20-25 picks, something that made me disproportionately happy while making this list was that almost all of my top reads are ABAM picks. Topping the list is Desperately Seeking Charu by Shania Bhattacharya. This book had to come here. If you have been following me since the last year, you would know that this book was coming to be on the top shelf. वो कहते हैं ना, some books find you exactly at the right time you need them. This book was that for me. इस किताब ने मुझे खुद ढूंढा है उस वक्त पे. I know if I was to read this book an year ago, मुझे पसंद आती उस वक्त भी, but it would not have hit the way it did while I read it this time around. I went into this book thinking it would be a very entertaining read, which it definitely is, but I did not expect it to be this precise. There is a lot of clarity about what the author is trying to do here because of the way she is moving between different ideas in the book. Okay, now I'll tell you what the book is about. Shania Bhattacharya has used Shah Rukh Khan as this cultural anchor, and he's not treated as a film icon or a nostalgic figure, but a way to understand how Indian women across different class, economic status are aspiring love, freedom and selfhood in their ways. As someone who reads a lot, I was very impressed with the idea of the book. I found this book to be very well thought out and very well executed at the same time. The research is very solid, the cultural arguments are very sharp, and it does not lose its plot while it's moving from one argument to the other. It's a very enjoyable read and also a very critical one. If you're someone who's interested in how cinema, gender and everyday life intersect in subtle ways, आपको बहुत मजा आएगा ये पढ़ने में. Okay, going on to the next book. I don't know how to introduce this neatly, but I'll just tell you how I landed upon this book. Last year I started with my masters, and one of the subjects I had to study for that was advanced cell biology, and one of the topic we were studying under there was how proteins are formed, packaged and directed inside the cells and sent to different organelles, and how all of this mechanism is regulated. And when I say it, it sounds very simple. It sounds very concise and you can explain it. But when you actually sit with it, it is honestly insane how all of these complex things are working inside us. Just think about this. What is a protein? It is a chain of amino acids. What are amino acids? Basically, some carbon atoms along with nitrogen, sometimes sulfur, are associated together. What exactly is this? कुछ molecular bonds ही तो हैं जो साथ में connect कर रहे हैं. Who is telling them where to go and where not to go? How is this direction happening? You can give this very counter argument that Charu, her membrane is very selectively permeable to different organelles, but how do these membrane know किस चीज़ के लिए selectively permeable होना है, किस लिए नहीं होना है? Which raises another bigger question here कि आप कह रहे हैं all these small atoms ने मिलके एक molecule बना दिया है, and you're saying कि इसके पास में इतना sense है of going कहाँ जाना है, उसका क्या fate है decided. How is that possible? Are you trying to say all these small molecules also have consciousness? So I'll just tell you that I was very distressed reading this, studying all of this in the class where professor was telling, और मेरे दिमाग में I had so many things going on, and coincidentally around the same time I had picked up The True Name by Osho. The book is about Osho's take on Japji Sahib. Osho here is engaging with poetry, rhythm and philosophical depth of Guru Nanak's word, especially around the ideas of truth, identity, sound and consciousness. And while I was going through all this phase, I also picked up Osho on consciousness, which was also a great read. I was reading both these books parallelly, and honestly, you will ask me, Charu, did you come out of this phase with clarity? No, but I came out having less anxiety about not having that clarity. And around the same time, I stumbled upon Existence is Not Just Matter by Osho, and I listened to this on Audible. And this is what I had been told repeatedly by people, that Osho is better heard than to be read. But मैं मानती नहीं थी. I was very rigid with my own ways of consuming things. And Osho is definitely better listened to than read. His oration matters. His pauses matter. The way he circles around an idea without defining it can only truly be experienced when you are listening to him. And this is actually a good point to mention that this video is sponsored by Audible, which still, yes, feels surreal to say. This is our first sponsor video. Honestly, God bless us. Love that for us. Audible didn't just support this video, it also shaped my experience with this book. Audiobooks have made reading possible for me, especially on days my brain refuses to cooperate. You must treat your ears with this audiobook. I listened to most of this book while driving because it's a shorter audiobook and fits naturally into travel and daily moment. Okay. Another book on this list is Pinjar by Amrita Preetham. Pinjar was also another ABAM. We are following a lady during the partition where her body, choices and ambitions are turned to violence and negotiation. What I absolutely hate is how Amrita is reduced to her love life. Every time Amrita is talked in a public conversation, it is almost as she is secondary to who she loved. But Amrita is a lovely writer and you should not be sleeping on her work, her actual work. This book carries a certain kind of empathy, clarity and political awareness, which is very rare to see in books as such. There's also this brief touching down upon the idea of Stockholm Syndrome, but you'll read it, you'll find it out yourself. And if you haven't read Amrita at all, this is a great place to start. I would recommend going for the Hindi version rather than the English one, but it is always your choice. Another book on this list is My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I won't be talking a lot about this book here because I made a dedicated video on this book. This book is about burnout, exhaustion and opting out. The book captures modern numbness so well in its writing. It's not a book I think everyone will enjoy, but if you are in a reading slump, I would definitely recommend you this one because it pulled me out of my reading slump in a go. I also finally read Osamu Tezuka this year. I read No Longer Human and The Setting Sun. The Setting Sun was again an ABM. Osamu Tezuka carries a very bleak kind of sadness. आप किताब उठाएंगे आपको हर पन्ने से there is this creeping sadness. I would only recommend you to go near this eye if you are in a right mental space to do that. But he is one of those writers I have been wanting to tick off my want to read list for a very long time. So yes, these are all the books I loved last year. मैं ज़्यादा लंबी list पे बना सकती हूँ, but I know I keep talking about books here and there, reels में, किसी और videos में. But if we really had to pick out the top favorites that kind of defined the entire year for me, these were the ones. Again, I would like to thank Audible for sponsoring this video. You can get 2 months of free subscription of Audible if you click on the link given in the description below. I will leave everything attached there. I have never said this sentence in my life and it feels so surreal. Please jao guys, please use it. Your girl is being sponsored for the first time. Let me have this moment. And yes, always thank you for being here. Thank you for being kind and I will see you next time.